I was watching Black Scout Survival back when his videos were only getting like 1,000 views here and there. I have a lot of respect for him. I like a lot of the things he's done. I like a lot of the martial arts concepts that he has and stuff like that. That being said, I feel like he's gone off the deep end with some of the things he's been saying lately. He's saying things that I don't think have the full picture, and we're going to go into that right now.
But this is not a war zone. This is freaking Glenview, Illinois, a suburban, peaceful place. $700,000 homes. BLM signs are probably still rotting in a few windows there. And right here, what we have is a Navy veteran and a doctor that are walking up to their front door after a dinner day, maybe a few glasses of wine, some jazz music, and boom, they get it swarmed like freaking prey.
So one thing I want to point out, I'm about to criticize a bunch of things he has to say. What are my credentials to do this? One, he's talking about criminals, and I spent multiple years in the Florida Department of Corrections, even at the Administrative Management Unit where all the shot callers are. I talked to some of the highest ranking MS-13 gang members. I was actually one of their cellmates for a little while when I was at the Administrative Management Unit. So I know professional criminals. I know what they do. I've been locked up with some of the worst, right? So I've actually been to prison. I've actually lived with criminals. I know how they operate. I know how they function. So that's one. Prior to that, I was in a militia. So I do have paramilitary training. I have pictures of all this, like it's very well documented who I am, what I've done. I've been in news stories and everything. I have a past that is complicated. I've done a lot of things, been a lot of places. I've met people that were incarcerated from all over the world. People come to Florida to fuck up, and some of the worst end up at the Administrative Management Unit, AMU. And I've met Russian people there. I've met people from Eastern Europe there. I've met people from South America there. I've met people from all over the world in the Administrative Management Unit, including Michael Zoe, the guy that lit Little Wayne's car on fire. I met these people. I was locked up with these people. I've been locked up with famous bad people. And I also know some paramilitary tactics. I know how to move, shoot, and communicate. I know the difference between cover and concealment, stuff like that. And I know what a professional criminal looks like. So I want to say all that before I start criticizing what he's saying. Those are my credentials. That I know what I'm talking about because I've lived it.
I'm going to show the video. Let's talk through this.
Like a plot of a movie. A couple in the suburbs north of Chicago was getting home from their date night when they walked right into an armed robbery. Their doorbell camera shows the moment three masked men confronted them. They didn't think anything of an unfamiliar vehicle outside their home, and then things took a turn for the worse.
So he is a Navy veteran, and in his interview, he says that the Navy is what prepared him for this.
Okay. Like I don't think this guy was in combat. I think he was a REMF. So that's the first thing I'll say. I just want to point that out. Like a lot of REMFs, like I've seen way more violence. I've experienced and been part of way more violence than your average military person. I have seen more real world violence, more chaos, and more death than your average person in the military. I just want to point that out. Like that's something you need to know. You need to, I'm sure you know that. Like most people in the military, even people that have been in combat zones, have never fired their rifle in anger a single time.
He really made the Navy look bad. Okay, she's a practicing doctor. We have educated people, successful people, but completely unprepared. And when the jackals roll up in this stolen Jaguar, he let her walk straight into it. He backs up. She moves forward towards the threat. And again, he steps back, hands up, eyes down, no plan, no weapon, no warrior mindset. Check it out.
It's probably one of our kids or their friends. And then
my problem with the way Black Scout is framing this is he doesn't go back far enough. Why did these people get targeted? What made these people pick him? I'm trying to figure it out. Why did they get picked? And I don't know why Black Scout is not going down that rabbit hole. Because I know, having lived around criminals all my life, it's just a fact. And we can go into how I've been around them all my life, but I've been around them all my life. I live with them in prison. I fought them when I was in Republic of Florida militia. I know how criminals work. I've been around them all my life. I've lived with them, and I've fought against them. You know, I understand how they think and everything, and I know these people were targeted for a reason. There was something they were doing that got them targeted.
And all of a sudden, there's a gun pointed at you, times three. Three guys jump out and start screaming at us to drop everything we have.
Take everything. Take everything. You can have it. Honest to God.
Honest to God, guys, you can have everything.
I kept repeating that very intentionally so that they knew they were going to get what they came for
And then
and
go on.
hopefully leave.
Thank goodness they only just wanted valuables and not take your life.
And they did. They left with cash, jewelry, a watch, even a jacket. The stolen SUV they were driving was found unoccupied in Chicago.
So he essentially let her lead into the unknown while he freaking drifted into the background. This was a complete leadership failure, okay? Complete leadership failure. Check it out again. We'll let it play while I'm discussing through this. But what we have here, this is not just a regular robbery. This is a street level ambush. 3 armed assailants, fast convergence, controlled angles, masked up, guns out, no hesitation. These guys had zero hesitation, okay? They box them in with textbook or urban ambush tactics, okay? One attack.
Okay, so first thing, my tactical background in the militia, you see that this person, the guy over there, the guy over off to the side, you're going to see he makes contact with the person. This isn't even something a really skilled armed robber does. I've been in prison with armed robbers, and the armed robbers I talk to, they don't want to get close to the person they're robbing because a lot of things can go wrong. And something goes wrong, you leave a bunch of forensic evidence behind. And this is not good tactics. The car they use as their getaway car is going to trace right back to them. These people are going to get caught. So I want to point that out. These are not brilliant tactics at all. These are wannabes.
Attacker comes head on to distract.
Right there.
The
Check
second-
it out. Okay, so the fact that the other guy is going to turn his back to the woman, and the fact that there's going to be crossfire to where the other robbers are pointing guns at their own guy, a professional, like even police officers, military, all that, when you're doing some kind of operation, you don't want there to be crossfire where you might accidentally shoot one of your guys, right? And so in the case of the robbery, they're trying to get in and get out. You have the full compliance of the people you're robbing. Why are you going up to them to do extra shit? Why are you risking that he might try to put up a fight and grab your gun or something? This is not something a professional armed robber would do. As a matter of fact, a professional armed robber, you don't really have that many of them in the 21st century, and I'm going to get into that in a moment.
Flanks wide to close the rear of escape so they can't escape down this sidewalk here. Third, shadows mid-range for support and as a force multiplier. These weren't amateurs. These guys have had experience doing this. They came for results.
That I believe. I believe that they've done this before. Yes. I believe they've done this before, probably in the hood or something, and they're upping the ante and doing it in a rich neighborhood. Yeah.
Guys, these guys were not playing around. Now, what should they have done? Okay, number one, kill the freaking lights. Having your porch light on makes you a silhouette. You're standing out, and they're in.
Black Scout, come on, bro. Having your front porch lit is the deterrence value is way more than this theoretical scenario that these people are currently in, right? The situational awareness of how they got out of their car, what made them a target. There's way more at work than this. You're mad about you're griping on them about the porch light, but it's actually good home security to have your porch light on all the time. In most situations, it's a deterrent. What made these people get targeted? That's the real question that we should be asking. And Black Scout, bro, I think you've went off the deep end here. I do, because the things you're saying here are not adding up. This is not making sense.
In the shadows. You're operating in the shadows. They can see what you're doing. Do a 360 scan before you step out of your freaking car. Don't
Black
just
Scout, the reason they have these people on video for the police will be able to identify them later is because that freaking porch light is on, Black Scout. Come on. And I don't like doing this to a fellow prepper. I don't like doing this, but I feel like Black Scout, he's just cranking out content and he's just saying shit. And it sounds good, like on a superficial level, but this is a guy that's a yuppie. He's not living like a warrior. And if you think he's going to change his mind and decide he's a warlord at the last moment when there's 3 guns pointed at him, he ain't living like that in his day-to-day life, and that's really the issue. Because if he was living like that in his day-to-day life, people would know it. The streets would know it. Don't target that one right there, okay? And I'm telling you, because ain't nobody targeting me. But you see what the front of my house looks like. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you're given the wrong advice. If you want to keep this from even happening, you need to be known as the guy not to do that to. And something about these people signaled to these criminals that, hey, this is a good target. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was posting that he had a bunch of money on social media. I don't know if he had maybe he had a BLM sticker in his window, and that just signals to, I mean, I study anthropology, and that signals to the other tribes that you care more about other tribes than your own people. So, I mean, like, that is kind of a thing that's gonna show you that's gonna get you attention. I don't know if he had some anti-gun bumper sticker on his. I don't know what drew these people's attention. Something made these semi-professional, like amateur wannabes, target these people. I don't know what they did. Something caused this, and you're talking about the last-minute tactical reaction, and you're too obsessed with tactics, and you're not obsessed with strategy. And this is the problem with Black Scout Survival. You don't wait till 3 guns are pointed at you to start worrying about tactics. And this is my problem with Black Scout Survival. And he's done other videos like this. This was just a straw that broke the camel's back.
Just park, hunt your surroundings, have everything squared away before you get out of the vehicle. Okay. Have your keys out, have all that stuff ready. A staggered entry, one moves, one overwatches. The wife's unlocking the door.
Black Scout, you really think that these people, or even the average person, or even your average viewer, is going to turn every single time they get home from work into a tactical drill? And let me tell you the honest to God truth. And I believe in the Second Amendment wholeheartedly. We pay the police and the military to do violence on our behalf. You're talking to an ex-militia man here, bro, that fought criminals. I fought criminals in Rockbrook. But I'm also telling you that the average person doesn't want to be a fucking commando every time they get home from work, bro. I'm just being completely honest with you. The average person is going to get caught off guard by 3 people pointing guns at them. And the smartest thing to do in this situation is, unless you're living like that and you're a warrior and you really do turn every single, you know if you're living like that or not, right? You know. And if you are living like that, you're going to notice something weird as you're driving home. And you're not going to drive home with the same route every time either. And you're going to be known as the guy not to target. Okay? You're going to have signage on you're probably not going to live in that neighborhood. There's a reason they picked those people. There's a reason they picked that neighborhood. They know who to pick, right? And so I wish Black Scout would start telling people to be more strategic. It's not about, don't get yourself killed fighting these people. Move to a better neighborhood. Move to out in the country where, get a big giant yard where you have the tactical advantage and you can see somebody coming from a mile away. That's what you need to be doing. And if you do live in a neighborhood like this and 3 people point a gun at you, comply with the freaking gunman, man. I'm telling you, don't get killed over some stupid money in your fucking wallet, especially if you're a rich guy. I mean, come on, like, one of them is a Navy veteran and the other one's a doctor. They got buku bucks. You want them to get killed over the little bit of money they have in their wallet, and then maybe they get the credit card, maybe a little bit of jewelry out of the purse. They're going to get a couple hundred off the ATM or whatever, and that's probably going to lead the police right to them. These people are going to get caught, okay? Why do you want to get killed? If 3 people get the jump on me this bad, I'm going to cooperate. I'm telling you right now. Now, you're probably not going to get the jump on me like this, and my schedule is unpredictable, and I don't tell people when I'm leaving my house, and I have a schedule that's all over the place. So I mean, and then I have some stuff here, okay? I have a plan, okay? And I really am living like that. And the local criminals here know I'm living like that, and they know I've been to prison, and they know what I'm about. And they're not going to target me with this crap. They're not even going to try me like that. If they do, they're in for a world of shit, okay? And they know that. And I'm pretty sure they know not to target Black Scout either. He's a badass, right? You don't see anybody trying Black Scout like this because I don't think Black Scout lives in a liberal yuppie neighborhood. I don't think he carries himself like a person you can easily rob. This is the conversation that we should be having. And I think Black Scout's capable of having this conversation, but I think he's made a huge oversight here. And unfortunately, he's giving advice that's going to get people killed.
While you're standing there. And if this happens, wife goes towards the door, you move towards the threat. Obviously, you need to be armed. Don't freaking walk in formation like you're freaking holding hands in a Hallmark movie, because that's what this looks like.
And again, you know how sad it is that in today's world you can't just walk into your home normally. And again, we live in very like Yugoslavia like conditions, like my family lived in Yugoslavia. I'm a Jerub, I'm Slavic, my family lived in Yugoslavia during the breakup, and man, that was a bad situation. And there's a lot of parallels between modern day America and Yugoslavia, a lot of ethnic tensions, and that's really what this is. There's ethnic tensions between this group, this ethnic group, and these rich people that are part of this other ethnic group. This, in a very real way, this is a hate crime. Nobody's going to talk about that part. But anyways, realistically, some people are going to understand the times we live in, and some people are not. These people are not. These people are not going to live right. They're not going to live like warriors. And if you want them to live like a warrior when they're not living like that day to day, what makes you think they're going to live like that when three guns are pointed at them? They did the right thing based on the current situation they had in front of them. The best thing to do in that situation is give up your fucking wallet. They're on camera. One of the neighbors, I guarantee you a camera is going to get that freaking license plate. Them dudes are going to jail because they're not professionals. I've talked to many professionals in prison. I've met them. And you know what professionals are doing? They're breaking into multi-million-dollar vacation homes. They're looking for Ming Dynasty vases, antique Italian lamps, things like that. They're looking for collectibles that are worth a ton of money. There's Italian lamps that are worth $250,000 if you get one of these lamps. And there's people that have bragged about it on social media. Hey, we have this antique Italian lamp. It's at such and such. And then they get the intel, and they go in, they break in the door, and they get it. And there's one thing they're there for, and it's this one very valuable thing, right? That's what the professional criminals are doing, things like that. And to be honest with you, there's not that many actual professional criminals in the 21st century because the juice really isn't worth the squeeze. It's not the 1920s. It ain't the 1980s even. It's the 21st century. And the juice really isn't worth the squeeze to even be a criminal in the 21st century. There's not that many professional criminals left. And if there are, they're fighting using this. They're not fighting using no fucking gun. They're keyboard warriors. They're hackers, okay? And I'm telling you that that most professional criminals are sitting there on the computer doing fraud and scams and stuff like that. You're not going to risk your life. You're not going to risk doing 25, 30 years in prison to rob somebody to get their wallet and the immediate little things on their possession if you're a professional criminal. Just by virtue of them doing that, they're not professionals, okay? So Black Scout is saying that these are professional criminals just by virtue of the fact that they're choosing to do an armed robbery just to get the possessions on these two people's person. I mean, 3 people are going to divide these possessions among themselves. So what? Each person is going to get a couple $100 here and there? Think about it. These are not professionals. These are wannabes. These are some people that have been watching too many rap music videos.
And just keep going, right? Let her get to the door and get everything get inside, get protected. You can't outgun 3 barrels. Okay, that fact. You're not going to be able to. If he's armed, he's not going to outgun 3 barrels. But you can't outthink them. Obviously, split. Split wide. Now they're having to worry about wider angles. You're staying together, right? One retreats fast, goes inside, the other loud, the other one darts.
Again, if these people had a tactical mindset, they wouldn't even live in this neighborhood. And even if they did live in this neighborhood, they would carry themselves a lot differently, and they would have something visually telling people, don't fuck with us. Maybe an NRA sticker on their car, maybe just something. You need to take a 4-dimensional approach to survival, to prepping, and to strategy. You need to take a 4-dimensional approach to these things. And unfortunately, as of late, Black Scout Survival is taking a very, very, very 2-dimensional approach to these things. And I hate to say that, because I was one of the early subscribers of Black Scout Survival, and I'm still a subscriber of Black Scout Survival. But Black Scout Survival is thinking incredibly 2-dimensionally. And this is happening because he cranks out. He's a content creator now. This is his job, and he gets paid to crank these videos out. And so he's thinking of everything in terms of tactics. And that's what his audience wants. And so I sympathize with that, because my channel is a bit of a fucking SEO farm, search engine optimization farm. And us content creators, we've become robots, slaves to the algorithm. But that doesn't excuse the fact that Black Scout is going to get some people killed. I actually believe that somebody is going to get killed listening to Black Scout's advice. Instead of taking the route of creating the appearance of a hard target, instead of implementing psychological warfare against the criminals in your neighborhood, you are going to appear like a yuppie until 3 of them are pointing a gun at you, and then all of a sudden you're going to be a Billy Badass. There's people watching this shit, and they're going to take that to heart, because it's easier to convince yourself of the fantasy that all of a sudden you're going to live your life keeping your head down, never saying anything offensive, and then all of a sudden you're going to be a Billy Badass when 3 guns are pointed at you. And let me tell you, as a person that's living like that, as a person that's been on the other side of the tracks, as a person that has defensive wounds from knives, okay? As a person that has had people trying to kill him before, as a person that has seen and experienced real violence, I am telling you that if you are afraid in your day-to-day life to say offensive things, and you're living like a normal, law-abiding citizen in your day-to-day life, I don't think you got it in you, 9 times out of 10, to be able to stand up against 3 people running down on you with guns. I don't think you're living like that. And that's fine, because the people that are living like that are knuckleheads. And I am a fucking knucklehead. You should prevent these situations from happening by listening to me. And you should do everything you can to give on the appearance. People don't see who you are. They see what you present, as Machiavelli said. And you should make people think that you are like me, even though you're not. It is better to win the fight by not firing a single shot than it is to have to show you're something you're not at the last moment. Psychological warfare is everything, and that is how you prevent these things from happening. Okay, I'm just telling you, that's the key. That's the key to survival in these situations. Psychological warfare. It's not this shit Black Scout's talking about. Criminals pick their targets very, very carefully. I know this. I've lived with them for years. I know how they operate. Who they pick has more to do with how you present yourself day to day, and we're going to see that in a second. We're going to see how this doctor presents himself.
This way, the other one into the house, confuse, divide, and disrupt your attackers. Okay? Movement is life. Standing still, guys, will get you killed. It's submission. Break the freaking script. Break what they think should happen. What they expect to happen is exactly what happened in this moment. Use your terrain to your advantage. Walls, cars, bushes, anything that obscures the line of fire in your direction. And obviously, lights out. Lights out. Darkness is your friend. Darkness is concealment. Obviously, I would be using verbal.
This is not a non-permissive environment, Black Scout. This is not, yeah, darkness is your friend. If you can be in the darkness and have the bad guy illuminated, yes, darkness is your friend. But again, this is not a non-permissive environment. You need to use lights as a weapon. Okay, you're defending a static position, correct? This is your home. So, and again, it's just, you want these people to live like warriors. And like I said, if these people were living like warriors, this wouldn't have happened to begin with. They wouldn't have been picked. They wouldn't have been chosen. It's all about being a hard target. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna ruffle another one of your feathers. You got feathers in your logo. I'm gonna ruffle them 2 feathers you got in your logo. Your gray man theory shit is no good. Because if this couple wore like tactical shit, I don't think these people would be targeted. It's a hot take, but that's what I think.
Disruption. Yelling commands like call 911, gun, gun, gun. And this is basically just a startle redirect. And as you freaking spread out.
What if you say call 911 and the first thing they do is they go ahead and blow your head off just to show that they're serious? What if these people are escaped convicts? What if these people are MS-13 members that know that they're probably going to go to CCOT and they need to get some money so they can escape to Mexico? You don't know who these people are. You don't know anything about their background. You don't know how desperate they are. The idea that you're immediately going to scream out, call 911, which is exactly the kind of thing that's going to piss these people off. You'd be better, listen to me. You'd be better off actually dialing 911 than screaming out, call 911. You'd literally just be better off actually dialing it. Like, literally just dialing, like, if you got, like, an emergency button on your phone or whatever, you could just push that thing. Why would you scream out, call 911? And I've seen people get robbed for their canteen at knife point in prison. And I've seen people literally joke about some shit while they're getting robbed, And they, like, you say some shit like, what the hell? I only get robbed on Tuesdays. Don't you guys see that it's Wednesday? Like, you say some shit like that. It really makes them pause. Like, what the fuck? And if nothing else, it will, the whole town will hear that when you got robbed, you weren't scared. At least you got a cool story to tell about how you said some crazy shit when you were getting robbed, right? So, I mean, there's things you could do to kind of throw them off, just to gauge what kind of mood they're in or whatever. You could try to do stuff to throw a monkey wrench in their psychology. And I would encourage something like that. But in this particular situation, doing anything that's explicitly going to piss them off, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that.
Maybe one of them, like, again, gets in the house, what have you, right? And if you close the distance with a firearm, commit 100% or die trying, right? They expect.
That is really, really stupid. That's really, really stupid. Why? How much money does that guy got in his wallet, bro? And they can turn off the credit cards. They're gonna go to the ATM. These people are rich. You're telling some rich people that they need to die over a little bit of money in their wallet. Listen, they could start a GoFundMe and get 5 times the much money back. They probably have some kind of insurance that covers this shit. And I mean, if they don't, they're rich anyway. I would call into question why a neighborhood with this many rich people doesn't have any armed security, why they don't have a gated community, things like that, you know. But it's just the thing is if you're gonna be a really really rich zebra, then you need some way to protect yourself from lions. Okay, if you're not a lion and you're very rich and you're a zebra, you need something to protect yourself from the lions. So I don't know why nothing like that is in place. Where's the armed security? Why don't they have any of that all my life?
Fear, they don't expect violence of action. And that's anytime you're in an ambush, violence action, you fight through the freaking threat. Okay. The thing is they're lucky.
Yeah, I know you. Listen, I know how the OODA loop works, and I know you can create fear and uncertainty and doubt in a criminal's mind. And I know that a lot of these times these criminals are not planning on shooting anybody, and so they're not planning on you resisting either. They have a set thing in their mind about how this is going to play out. Okay, but I am going to tell you this: a scared person with a gun is capable of doing some crazy shit, and there's two other people there, right? And they know that if one of them goes down and the other two go running, the one that goes down is probably getting arrested, and he's probably going to snitch on the other two. It's a dangerous situation. You don't know what they're going to do. But you're pretty sure if you give them your wallet and you give them your shit, that you'll go on with your life after that, and you'll live to tell about it. And that's what this guy did, you know? Do I wish that he would grow some nuts and move to a red state and build a big compound and be a redneck? Yeah, I wish he would do that. I wish he would be more like me. I wish this person would be more like me, yes. And I'm sure you do too. But the reality is these people are yuppies, and they're always going to be yuppies. And this stuff's only going to get worse, and this is just going to keep happening. They're probably going to get robbed again. Yeah, probably. Because I mean, I don't see anything to stop this from happening. I just think it's going to keep happening. And if they don't get robbed again, their neighbors are going to get robbed again. Because this is only going to get worse and worse as society begins to unravel. I mean, this is what we've been tolerating this crap for decades. And then you got a group of people that do everything in their power to show that, hey, look, we can be robbed. Come rob us. We're not going to fight back. We're liberals. We believe in peace and tolerance. Come rob us, And so you get what you get. You get what you pay for. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And that's the reality of what's happening here. And like you can judge them for the tactical decisions they made that night, but the further you go back, the more you'll see these people weren't living right in every possible way. And so you're judging them for the wrong thing, Black Scalp.
All they wanted was a watch and some money, because it could have went completely other direction. They could have snagged a wife and took her in the vehicle to do who knows what. And I'm not saying you need to be a ninja. You just need to stop playing the role of being a freaking good victim.
If they try to put you in a car, they have FBI crime statistics on this. There's a good chance they're going to kill you if they try to kidnap you. A lot of people that are kidnapped end up being killed. So yes, the fight should be right then and there. If you try to put me in a car, I'm going to fight to the death. I'm not going to let you torture me and kill me and hold me ransom. That's not happening. But in many situations, if you want my wallet, you get my wallet. Just know, I'll see you around, motherfucker. But, realistically, you might get the jump on me and you might get my wallet, and I'll live to fight another day. And I'll see you around, motherfucker. That's how it is. Just know, I'll find out who you are later. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. And yeah, I'm gonna call 911 too. I'm gonna leverage the state. I'm going to leverage the people that we pay to do violence on our behalf to try to help me. But man, you're going to have the state after you, and I'm going to be after your ass. So, just know if anybody does try to rob me, you might win in that moment. In that moment, you might win. You might win that battle, but you ain't going to win the war. I wish he thought this way, and he doesn't. His tactics are two-dimensional. And they used to be three-dimensional, and I'm downgrading it. They're two-dimensional now. It's sad what's happened to Black Scout. The algorithm has turned him into something of a robot, and it's sad to see that this happens to creators. I'm gonna make sure this never happens to me. But Black Scout, I am Black Scout robot. The algorithm directs me. I am encouraged to fearmonger because I get more clicks. I am encouraged to give generic responses. I am I am not capable of thinking four-dimensionally anymore. And I'm not trying to bully the man because I mean I like him in many ways. He's a good dude, and I'm still going to be subscribed to him. But this is what's happened to Black Scout, and I hope he realizes it.
Stoic principles. Okay. And this, you look at Glenview, first off,
What's remarkable to me is how you're going to cite Stoic principles. What about the Stoic principle? We're talking about Socrates, Aristotle, Plato. What about the Stoic principle of like not living in a neighborhood full of liberal yuppies? What about the Stoic principle of being a hard target? What about those Stoic principles? I prefer Machiavelli myself. The world sees you as you appear, not as who you are. And yeah, Machiavelli was right about many things. It's better to be feared than it is loved. Good to be both. But if you can't be loved, you have to be feared. It's better to be feared than to be loved if you can only pick one.
Black Lives Matter protesting Glenview led to, these people probably voted for this junk. They probably voted for this junk.
These people have violated nature's eternal laws. What do I mean by that? It is known, in anthropology that human beings are tribal creatures. It is their natural state of being to support their own tribe, to support their own culture. Those who look like them, those who are part of their tribe that share common ancestry, the same language, the same culture, right? And so when a human being that is a member of his tribe denounces his own tribe, doesn't care about the interest of his own tribe, and actively supports the interest of another tribe and puts those interests first, in our modern parlance, we call that being a cuck, right? And so that's what these people are. They're cucks, okay? And there's no nice way to put it. They're cucks. They put the interest of another tribe before their own tribe, and that violates their natural state of being. Human beings, Homo sapiens, we are tribal creatures. We put the needs of our own tribe first. They played stupid games, they win stupid prizes. You're trying to talk about how these three guns pointed at them, they can go into ninja mode and do something about it. The time to do something about it was months ago, years ago, decades ago. It's too late. These people have to fester in their own juices. That's what they have to do. They have no choice. These people have made their bed, and now they're laying in it. And no Black Scout survival ninja tactics are going to get them out of this situation. Because this situation, that whole thing happened in about 20 seconds. The things that led up to it happened in 20 years. You understand? The things that led up to that robbery were decades in the making. And if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you.
They're the generation that will make the change. These people probably voted for this nonsense, right? But again, when you look at Stoic principles, you have power over your mind, not outside events. You cannot control what's going to happen to you in the world. But like Marcus really said,
Black Scout, our ancestors are laughing at this, right? They're laughing at this. And they're laughing at the fact that we have a big gushing hemorrhage. We're bleeding to death. And you are trying to put a tactical band-aid on a big, giant, strategic open wound. We are drowning in a puddle of our own blood, and you're putting a tactical band-aid on the injury. And I don't think you realize that, or I hope you do. But I just hope you realize that.
says, realize this and you will find strength, okay? They had no power over the event that night. It was going to happen. But they had power over how they prepared, and they did not.
That's where you're wrong, Black Scout. They had power over that happening. That's the cold hard truth. That's the cold hard truth. Because if this man was living by these stoic principles that you talk about, he wouldn't have been a target. Because I'm living under some stoic principles. I don't live up to my own ideals all the time. Sometimes I indulge myself a little bit. I shop at Dollar Tree, where all the gangbangers shop at. When they see me and they see that they're in the way in the hallway, they say, "Oh, excuse me there, big dog." They get out of my way because I'm a big white gorilla. And when the gorilla goes marching through the jungle, he makes a lot of noise. And all the other animals get out the way. And these people weren't living like that. And that's the thing. That's the reality. You talk of this stoicism. You talk about this ability to see into the future, which is a tactical ability. It's our higher self. It's our better self. This is what Socrates, Plato, the people that I'm sure you studied talk about. Think about the gods on Mount Olympus. Their ability to see ahead into the future. Right? The foresight and the ability to see into the future. You and me, we're preppers. We're preppers. You know the deal. We stockpile food, we stockpile water, we stockpile other things. We grow food. We grow plants. We're farmers. We're preppers. We're stockpilers, hoarders, whatever they call us, right? We see shit happening before it happened. These people don't see anything until it's too late. And you're not gonna convert that lamb into a lion. These liberals would rather die. They would rather die than ride the tiger, as Julius Evola would say. These people would rather die than stand up for themselves. I know it and I've seen it. I've seen it in prison. I've seen it. I don't even want to go into what I've seen. I think you got a pretty good idea of what I've seen in prison. I've seen some shit. And I've seen people give it up. Let me just say that. I've seen people give it up willingly. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Right. The Stoics don't believe in fear. They believe in readiness and virtue and vigilance. Modern men laugh at that stuff, right? You look at this guy. Take everything, guys. Really, honest to God, man. You can have everything you want. When the night wolves come, are you going to sit there? Are you going to be ready? So train your mind like your life depends on it, because one night,
a lot of your audience is not going to be ready. And if they are ready, they're going to be ready in the wrong way. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. A strategic solution is better than a tactical reaction. If your audience fails to realize this, many of them will die. If you do not live in a way that makes you a hard target, and you embrace this mall ninja gray man theory bullshit, if you do not realize the times you live in, if you do not embrace a true warrior mentality, if you do not let the local gangbangers in your community know where you stand, if you do not let the criminals in your community know that they're being watched and that you're willing to fight back, make it known who you are. If you're not living like that in your day-to-day life, you're not going to be living like that when they run down on you with 3 guns. I've told them to not sell drugs in my neighborhood. I told them if they sell drugs in my neighborhood, there's going to be a fucking problem. You never told them that. Most of your audience. You never told them that. I told them that. Don't sell drugs in my neighborhood or we're going to have a fucking problem. If you're not living like that in your day-to-day life, don't kid yourself. You're not going to live like that when the gun is pointed at you, or especially not when 3 guns are pointed at you. This is the reality check for Black Scout Survival and his subscribers.
It will, right? Again, this is freaking Glenview, Illinois. They voted blue. They vote defund the freaking police. You know, everything. They were probably part.
When you vote to defund the police, and you know that you're a weak, middle-class white guy, you are voting. See, let me explain this to you. We vote for the police and the military to do violence on our behalf. These are people that carry guns, and we as a society, we have specialization. We have specialization of skills. We have divisions of labor. We have bakers. We have blacksmiths. We have, accountants. We have hedge fund managers. We have doctors. We have lawyers, right? And so not every person can be a gunslinger, right? So we have divisions of labor. And so what happens is, we need some gunslingers to deal with the outlaw gunslingers. So that's called the police and the military. And then, in the modern era, we have SWAT teams and stuff like that for when terrorism begins to be a problem, things like that. So we outsource our violence. We have an external group of people to do our violence for us. This doesn't mean that I hate the Second Amendment. I'm obviously a supporter of the Second Amendment. What I'm saying is when these people voted to defund the police, and these are not even the type of people that carry guns on a day-to-day basis, I mean, at some point, you have to live with your own actions. And I'm pretty sure me and Black Scout we're in agreement on this. But I just think it's absurd that you're going to.
Sort of.
I think it's absurd that you're going to tell people that they need to live like this and have a last-minute tactical solution where there's a million steps they could have taken. There's a million steps they could have taken beforehand to not be targeted. And I know I keep harping on that, but that's the truth.
Voting this nonsense into their area. Okay. They restricted gun rights. It's a place you can't even own a gun.
Right.
But the bad guys have them.
Mm-hmm.
They call self-defense problematic. Oh, you shouldn't have a firearm. And now Equity just showed up at their front porch with a Glock. Okay. Equity just popped in with a Glock. Now, nice neighborhood, it doesn't matter. That's what this should teach us. A nice neighborhood, it shouldn't matter.
The zebras have been living in comfort for a very, very long time. And the zebras have forgotten the laws of nature. The zebras have been so comfortable that the zebras all got together and said, you know what, those lions aren't so bad. Those lions aren't going to hurt us. We could all just live in peace. So the zebras voted for peace. And the lions voted for meat. Such is the laws of nature. We are in more danger now as normal people that work and pay taxes. We are in more danger now than we've ever been. And gray man theory ain't going to cut it. Gray man theory is not designed for a low-trust society where the social fabric is breaking down and ethnic tensions are through the roof. Gray man theory is not going to cut that. Okay? It didn't work in Yugoslavia. It didn't work in South Africa. And it ain't going to work here. Gray man theory is not the solution. Gray man theory is a problem. And I'm telling you this as a person that's been around criminals. And gray man theory is going to cause things like this to happen. Albeit, at least Black Scouts subscribers will be a little more ready than these guys were. But you're going to get targeted because you're going to look like a normal person because you're doing the gray man theory thing. Be more strategic in your planning. Exercise psychological warfare. Become a hard target. Make the criminals not target you. Jordan Jareb signing off.